also with that crowd, I always see two types, right? The types that come from fresh out of college or have always worked in smaller teams and decided to branch off on his own or her own to create that game. And recently, in recent years, a lot of AAA guys kind of get into that market with their group of guys and going about it.
Mhm.
Have you noticed the difference of their style about how to begin this like soul killing journey? Coming from such two different backgrounds. I mean, you're talking about one being going in as a hobby while the other one's going at it as a growth platform for a bigger goals like a
Yeah.
or something.
Well, I think it's exactly that, right? I mean, the indies that come from like the AAA background, they will often make games that are very commercially viable from the start. They'll come in with a plan and say, we want to make this RPG, but this is what we're going to do with it. This is, these are the reasons why this is going to work. This is going to work. Here's the research and data to back up our decisions on why this game design element is going to work versus this game design element. And they'll come into it with a lot more business sense, I would suppose. Like they've considered every angle. And they've come at it from that standpoint, whereas the indie developers who've come at it, who are looking to be commercially successful, coming straight out of college or with very little actual game dev experience, they will focus solely on the development, but be blind to all else, including, marketing and everything like that.
Is there a percentage that you feel? I guess not a percentage, but the pros and cons of both methodology to approach this very same problem, which is in the end wanting to sell copies. Because at least the patterns that I've seen, right? The patterns that I've seen with the business sense AAA guys, they kind of are in it maybe for at least one game, obviously, and maybe two, right? But like in the recent interviews or in everyone I talked to, on that side of the fence, it's more about the long tail of things. It's not about not the first hit that we get, right? And that's it. So what's the mixture of feelings there where you feel one actually does better than the other in terms of just longevity as a group?
Yeah, well, I mean, the companies that have got a long-term plan will always be successful long-term. They'll always have inherently more longevity, regardless of if they have one hit or they have 4 games that sell reasonably well that turn a profit. The people who are forward thinking will always have more longevity than the developer who's just going game by game and hoping for the best. Because planning is everything, right? And I think one of the reasons why these commercially successful indies do so well, is particularly the ones that come from like that AAA or well experienced backgrounds, is that they know the importance of everything that goes with game development. Not just because one of the biggest mistakes that indies make is they'll go in and go, okay, well, I'm going to blow $300,000 on a game, and then they'll finish the game, and then they'll come to like a PR agency and they go, okay, I need to, it's 2 months away from launch. I need to market my game and I've got no money to do it. And agencies like us will kind of look at them going, well, I don't know what you expect us to do. Like you're a month away from launch. What you're not giving me anything to work with here, because they're so inward focused on making the game that they want to make. And oftentimes, they can even feature creep to add things to the game that didn't need to be added in. And they can't, they need to have an outside perspective on the game design document to avoid that kind of thing. But they don't plan to actually sell games. And I think that's the biggest importance, right? Like, how can you can't build a business without customers and sales. And operating under the idea that if I build something good, they will come is foolish, especially in today's market, because, why would people choose your game that they can't, you've inherently got no visibility anymore. Anyway, there's 25 other games or more releasing every single day. So there's massive competition, and games are relatively cheaper than they've ever been. There's more of them than there ever been. So why would they go to your game when they could choose a dozen others in the same genre, get them cheaper, and have a similar experience? And so that's why I think developers who come in with a very business focused mindset have a lot more longevity, because they understand the importance of getting visibility, making sure that they have a good community, making sure that there's marketing and PR behind them to actually promote the game, and ultimately get sales.
What's the window of time that you recommend for developers out there to get in touch with a PR firm such as yourself during their development?
I think you should do the initial consultation about a year away from launch. I think it's always worth having. I would say ask for advice when you start a game. Ask for advice on like features, like, because one of the things I see more and more is like people come to me and they'll go, "I made this really cool narrative driven single player game." And by the end, and then they'll say to me something like off the hand, they'll go, "Oh, and we're also going to add in one-on-one local co-op or local one-on-one PvP." And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it's a single player narrative driven game. What's the need to add a pointless multiplayer mode that no one is going to play and that just costs you money? So I think having someone to give you that type of advice is super helpful in terms of like specifically marketing and PR. I would say have the initial consult maybe a year away from launch to start talking about budgets and plans and where you want to take it and that kind of thing. I think a really good campaign in terms of a really good PR and marketing campaign will run anywhere from like 6 months to a year, but it very much depends on budget and stuff like that.